Thank you for coming this late afternoon. So let's look at what's ahead of us the next 20 or 25 minutes. Agenda for today, I will set the context first. Then we will go into why scale agility, and then actually how we did launch our trains, Agile release trains, and I will talk about what it means, Agile release train, a little later on. There is some specific words in the Scaled Agile framework, so if you don't understand something, just raise your hand and ask. I'll try to explain. And then, of course, what are the challenges when implementing this scaling framework, and what are the wins that we are seeing today. So first, who we are. CA Technologies, it's a software development company. We develop solutions and products that are supporting one of the, or many of the largest businesses in the world. There are some numbers on the slide which you can read. We were established in '76 in the US, and we have over 10,000 employees, so quite a huge software shop. With over 5,000 R&D people, engineers writing the code. And this is me. So my role in this company is a release train engineer. That's a specific safe terminology. It actually means program management. So facilitating, helping teams to, or team of teams to achieve their goals and deliver solutions or products. Before I get to how we actually did implement it, just a little background on how does the scaling framework looks like. Who from you has actually seen this picture? That's great. And who actually understands it? That's less people than. All right, thank you. So for those who don't know and haven't seen this picture before, but still are keen to learn, the main construct for in SAFe is the release train. It's Agile release train. It's basically, you can imagine it as a team of teams. So it's the program level where teams are working together on horizontal line as well as on the vertical line. So what does it mean actually for us at CA? How do we see scale agility? What does it mean? You can scale agility in two ways. One way is the horizontal line across the Scrum teams on the development level and R&D level, and the other way is vertical line. So it's more about the alignment with the strategy and company goals. And as you can see on this picture, the visualization says that at all these levels we do the PDCA cycle. So that's the agility on all the three levels of the framework. Right. In other words, the levels are, on the lowest level is the execution, the middle layer, the program level is the tactics, and then we have the strategic planning at the top. When I talk about trains today, I'm not talking about transportation. I'm talking about the Agile release trains, okay? That's just the background picture. But the complexity of the tracks that you can see in the picture is something that the Scaled Agile framework is trying to solve and help with when you are working in such a big company like CA Technologies is. And today, when specifically talking about the implementation of SAFe, I'll be talking about part of the company which produces around 250 products and has over some 1,000 engineers. So it's not the whole company of 10,000, but only part of the company that is 250 products and about 1,000 engineers. So when we decided that we want to use framework for scaling, and at that point it didn't matter if it's scaled Agile or any other scaling framework. So Fragmented Objectives, as I said, we had, and we still have, over 250 products, which is very hard to prioritize on the highest level because it's too granular. We had fragmented organization. We had many teams that didn't really work together. You know, the word is silos, and so they were quite siloed. So support teams, marketing teams, operations, and other teams that are needed to release product but don't really work together. Then management decided that they want to kind of shift from just a revenue prioritization of what we are doing to business value prioritization. And then the investments that we are making and the investment decisions that we were doing needed more frequent alignment to what's happening on the lowest level and on the market. So that were the reasons when the leadership decided we need to have some kind of a framework to better handle these things. It's another train, but this train, even though it looks nice, it's quite slow. It's quite foggy around it, so you don't really see it, where it's going. And that's how we actually started. You could imagine this as our first train. It looked nice. It was something new, but it was very slow, and we had some challenges there. But we needed to set up the infrastructure first. So instead of discussing forever where to start and how to start, just jump in and started doing it. So basically learn by doing. We had an implementation roadmap, which actually SAFe suggests. And we more or less followed it. So the roadmap is train leadership, train the change agents. Change agents are people that are important on important positions in the company, like Scrum Masters, product owners. And then we designed the trains. So the products that are in the train make sense, that they are working together. Train the teams, launch the arts, and go off and do the work. Of course, during the execution, the plan is to coach the execution, and if that's successful, then launch more trains, inspect and adapt. So when you do all this, the goal is to have alignment and kind of vision that everybody understands. So the tracks, you know where you are going. So let's talk briefly about what changed from day one. What was the circumstances after we said we are doing SAFe. Groups of products started to work with interdependency, started to work as one train, one solution towards common goal. So we kind of focused more holistically on if we are delivering products or the solutions. We synchronized all teams on the same cadence. They started to work in 2 weeks iterations and started to plan on a quarterly time box together. All stakeholders were involved in the planning and in the during the execution. The framework, what it did from the first day was that we had visualized all the work that is going on and all the dependencies and risks, which helped a lot, and I will talk about that later. So that is what happened from the start after we laid down the infrastructure, but it wasn't as smooth as one thing. So we had some challenges that we had to overcome, or we are still fighting. So some of the trains were not really aligned around the value that they are delivering. And the reason for that was that the old product line leaders didn't have the mindset, and they were defending their products and product lines and didn't give up the people to work on something else, on some higher priority things. And so when the transformation team that was implementing or helping us implement the framework saw this pushback from the leadership, he said, let's start just the first step with the baby step, and let's learn to crawl first, before we walk. So they just converted the business, the product lines into the trains, and then we iteratively improved on it. There was no much time to adapt or understand the framework on the team level, because the trainings were given only to the leaders and to some of the roles, and so there was also quite some pushback from the teams not understanding why we need to do this. We didn't have any coaching during the execution. We didn't have any coach on site that would really understand what SAFe is about and what are the main benefits. So we had to learn as we went. There was very little understanding of the new roles. SAFe introduces some new roles that are specific for the framework, and people didn't know what are their responsibilities, what the people should be doing, and why the hell we are having them, like the role that I'm in. And aligning with the 2-week sprint cadence I was already talking about, that was also a challenge. And for some teams it's still a challenge to actually make it happen in a way that it really works for them, not against them. So picture of another train. This is how I imagine how trains are looking like today. They are a little faster, there is no fog around it, but it's not a Shinkansen or TGV. It's still pretty simple regular train. So we have a way to go and where to improve. So where we are at CA with this effort, we gain the ability to make better informed decisions. That's because we have better alignment, the vertical alignment, and we can see what the teams are doing, what's working down in the trenches, and we don't have false expectations from the teams. When I said we, I'm now talking about the management. The management doesn't have the false expectations from the teams. On the other hand, the teams have better alignment to what the goals are, what the goals of the company are. So they are better bought into what they are doing. We gain the discipline of having better conversations, doing the 2-week cadence, and having all the teams on the same cadence help to solve many things during the conversations that we are having. Focus on continuous integration and deployment. That's a key thing that is incorporated in the framework. And very soon, if you don't have it very soon, you realize you need to start with it, otherwise your development is going to slow down or stop. And we have time for experiment and innovation. Again, the framework itself just dedicates some time to experimentation and innovation, so the teams don't have to fight with management to allow them to innovate. On top of that, they are encouraged to do that. They are encouraged to take the time, stop doing what they are doing for some time, and do innovation. So here are some statistic numbers that we achieved over the course of 2 years now. So we started 2 years ago with safe implementation. And I maybe should say that on the R&D Scrum team level, we already been doing Scrum, and Scrum was working for the teams for 4 or 5 years before we actually introduced SAFe and tried to scale. Questions?
I have a question. How many Scrum teams do you have?
So, as I said, it's about 1,000 developers, and the construct of a train in Scaled Agile Framework is 5 to 9 Scrum teams, and we have, I think, around 12 trains. And some trains are 12 trains with 5 to 9 teams. So it depends. For me, specifically, it's 8 Scrum teams on the train that I'm facilitating. Great questions. PA planning. I had it on the agenda, it was crossed out, because I thought I wouldn't have time to do that, but we have the time. So if there are no more questions, I will go on and I will go for PA planning and stuff.
Maybe 2 short questions, if possible. I would like to know what do you do with IP sprints, the sprints at the end? Do you use them for experiments and stuff like this, like you mentioned earlier? And the second thing is, do you know what to do with the team heads, the earlier team heads you had before you introduced SAFe? Because we don't know what to do with them.
Okay, so first question about the IP sprint. So it's different for every train. Every release train engineer with program manager is kind of leading their train in different manner. So it's not the way that what is prescribed in a safe Scaled Agile Framework is what we do. We inspect and adapt if it's working or not. So we kind of try to iteratively improve on it as you would expect. Mm-hmm. And so for some teams and for some trains, it's the way that they don't plan any development to the last sprint. They reserve this time as a buffer and experiments and improvements and innovation. Some teams, because they realize this is not working, because the team just always has to use it as a buffer because they plan too much. Some teams do that, they reserve half a day every sprint to innovation, like Friday afternoon. Some teams do it at the beginning of the PI, because they know that the teams would use it at the end as a buffer. So there is many ways to handle this, and different approaches from the teams that we are having. The second question?
Which was the team heads. Before you had teams, you normally have a team head, and now you have the SAFe organization with teams, and you have Scrum Masters and art head. And I think there's no need for disciplinary heads anymore.
We still have functional management. So there is even a role for a functional manager that is looking after the development of the people. If they are satisfied at work, and really, it's not management that they are managing what they are doing and how they are doing it, but they are enabling them to do it, to work. So basically, working closely with Scrum Masters, that should be the ideal position of a functional manager in this environment, I think.
So this programmers, for example, in one of the training teams, do they have manager?
Yes.
In each team or per train?
Usually our standards are something around 12 to 15 people per manager, I think. Around that number. So it's usually 2 Scrum teams. Roughly. Sometimes it's 2.5, it depends. But roughly 2 Scrum teams per functional manager.
I always wonder, with a regular cadence of PI plannings, how you can run an effective Kanban teams within this. Do you have any experience with the Kanban teams in your framework?
Within the Scrum framework, no, because Scrum works on within the SAFe framework, no, because SAFe works with Scrum.
Well, there is quite sure
Kanban is on a different level. It's not on the Scrum team level at the bottom. Kanban is only to visualize the work of the program and portfolio. So that's different Kanban than like the Kanban on a team level. It's only to visualize the work that is going on the program or portfolio. But no one said it can't work. So actually I'm looking into an experiment next PI. If a team that is not capable of dealing with 2-week sprints would better work in Kanban, but within that PI iteration. So I can tell you after 3 months. Because there is importance in the synchronization, but we are working on PI level objectives, right? We have objectives for the teams at the PI level. So for 5 sprints, we have objective to deliver some bigger piece of code, let's say, or functionality. It doesn't mean we have to ship it at the end of this PI. We can ship it in the middle, or we don't have to ship it at all. It depends. But the objectives are set for this time box. And so some teams kind of don't have the discipline to cut stories so small that they fit into the 2-week sprint iterations, because they don't care, because what they care about is the PI objectives. It depends again on the nature of the train. As I said, we have many trains, so trains that are working with very old products that have very little dependencies, they only integrate at the end, or they don't integrate at all, depending on if they have any integration points, right? If they don't, then they are independent, and the structure of a train is there for business reasons, because we are selling the products as one solution, for example, but they are still separated products, then they don't integrate. But we have trains that integrate after each sprint.
And earlier you talked about KPIs in agile environments. Do you have KPIs where you track how good or how fast or efficient you are, and do you compare teams to each other?
We don't compare teams to each other. And honestly, I don't know for the other trains. We have one measure that is across all the trains for the organization, and that's what SAFe suggests, the PPM, the Product Predictability Measure. That's how it's called, and there is some details about it on the SAFe in the safe guidelines. So that's what we have, what we measure on, and that's basically only to know if the PI that we just are finishing it was successful or not. It's not to, because this measure is based on business value, and business value, I don't know what is it for you, but business value is it's created or it's assigned by a business owner, and it's his or theirs, depends if it's more people, vision of what the business value is, right? And so it's the outcome of not only the Scrum teams delivering the work itself, but also about if we did actually prioritize what we are making correctly, or if we prioritize the right features and deliver them. So if the product management made a mistake, and the feature which I thought today is the highest priority, but in 3 months it will not, then it's not fault of the Scrum team. So you are not evaluating the work of the Scrum team, but just evaluating if the vision that you had, you delivered at the end of the PI. Okay, I have some backup slides here.
No, we have.
All right, we don't have the time.
Everyone, let's thank Aleš, please.